Bell Promo is a trusted supplier in the promotional products industry, helping distributors succeed with low minimums starting at just 12 pieces, fast production, and dependable service. From drinkware and bags to tech and apparel, Bell Promo offers deep inventory, simplified pricing, and flexible solutions to support projects of any size. With marketing support, mock-ups, and spec samples available, Bell Promo makes it easier for distributors to win business. Because yes, you can Bell Promo that.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Promo Perspectives. Today I am joined by Amanda Carpenter, our Senior Customer Experience Manager here at Sage. And Amanda is a very unique person to be talking to about Promo Live because she is a longtime host of the event. And if you aren't aware of what Promo Live is, it is an online event that Sage puts on twice each year that is a good way for suppliers and distributors to interact in real time in a really engaging format. So Amanda, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
And Amanda, again, as the longtime host, has seen a lot of all the presentations
Yes.
that have been done. And so she has a really unique perspective on kind of what the event is like and what it takes to really have an engaging and winning presentation. So to start off, I kind of teed you up a little bit, but can you start off by talking about your role and how long you've been a host for the event?
Gosh, well, time flies when you're having fun at Sage. So I honestly could not tell you how many years it's been. I want to say 4 or 5. So
Nice.
The awesome Mr. Ryan Hanchy used to be a solo host. And then to break it up a little bit, they wanted to bring in a co-host. So then they invited me to come in. And then, of course, we bounce around a little bit. But I feel like I've kind of been one of the anchors with Ryan. So that's always been fun of doing that. So I'd probably say, if I'm guessing, probably 5 years.
Yeah.
I think Promo Live's been around for 5 years. I mean, it's been, unfortunately, since COVID. So that was
Yeah.
a great way to get that engagement too with suppliers and distributors when we weren't going to trade shows.
Yeah, that is awesome. So kind of talking about it, especially because it was something that came out of not being able to meet in person, can you describe what makes Promo Live different from other industry events that people might go to?
Well, I think there's a lot of the exposure, right? So you think about like Expo, where you're hoping you can get through all of the people. And if you don't, well, then you're missing out on that. So it's a great opportunity for suppliers to have that undivided attention for, call it, 500, 800, whatever it may be, thousands of people that are attending, and you just don't get that. And so distributors also love being able to ask the question. So having our chat, and then at the end, me being able to come on and ask the suppliers questions from, whether they can do, spec art or, different things like that. If they're Canadian friendly, we have a lot of Canadian customers. So all great questions that people want to know. So I think that was a game changer for our industry of, again, when you're at a trade show, if it's busy, you're waiting. And so this is just that undivided attention for most of the time of getting to highlight their products and who they are as a supplier. And for me as a consumer, that's what I want to know.
Yeah.
I want to know who the supplier is, who am I working with, and being able to see that face to face, I think is really cool.
Yeah. Would you say that that's probably the biggest benefit that a distributor would get from attending, is that kind of like real time interaction with those suppliers?
Yeah, definitely. And thinking about it too, with us having 2 during, the year, of being able to see what's going on at the springtime of popular events, and then what's going on at like the end of the year. And so being able to know, at the end of the year, what are those cutoff dates for end of the year programs and things like that. So those are all really important. So they're a little bit different for the springtime and the fall, which I think is also really cool because you have different focuses, different products. And so it gets you inspired for the customers that the distributors are working with.
Yeah, that's actually such a good point. Like, people might think that we have it twice a year, so if I miss one, or if I made one, I don't need to go to the second one. But really, there's
Totally
value.
different.
Yeah. They're really different each time. Yeah. So kind of speaking a little bit behind the scenes, obviously, like we said, you've hosted a few times now. You're a pro at this point. What does preparation look like for you when you're getting ready for this event?
Well, because there are different suppliers, a lot of the times I want to know a little bit about them. So I try and find their products in Sage Workplace. I try and go to their website, learn a little bit more about them. So that way, they're highlighting some of their specific products. But if I see something cool, I can also ask them about those different items that are on their website, a little bit more about their background. Again, I'm a sucker for knowing who the business is. That's always going to have me going back to a customer or a business, how they treat people, who they are, how long they've been in the industry, what's important. So I like knowing a little bit about them too, and that makes the conversation flow a little bit better because, you know, sometimes the sessions end early, so we need to have information to be able to talk about. So what do you have if there's not questions in the chat, or what can you ask or talk about to make it still engaging for, let's say, if they do go a little bit shorter, 5 minutes, how do you keep that flow and the excitement going throughout that? So I think research before is definitely a game changer.
Yeah. And honestly, like, people may not realize, but it's not just a benefit to the distributors who are attending, but really also to the suppliers as well. Like, if for some reason a presentation goes short, which we've seen happen, and then you're helping it also make sure that they're getting their best foot forward. So it's really beneficial for everybody involved.
Yeah, and you think about too, I mean, we all have technical issues, right? So you never know when something like that is going to happen. And with it being a live event, it's live. We gotta fill the space. So what do you do at that time if you don't have any information on who the supplier is, other products? You know, it helps when we have some of those sponsored products, being able to talk about those cool things. So it's being able to pivot quickly, and that is a benefit of doing it multiple times. Of the first couple times I was more shy, timid, and now I feel like, okay, I've got my feet underneath me, I know what I'm doing, so if something does go wrong, I still might be like, but I'm gonna figure it out. Like, just, you know, give me a second. I'm like, okay, got to kick it into gear now and figure it out. So if I didn't know who the supplier really was, what their background was, because we do have, you know, some people who are more on decoration versus products. So, I mean, that's a totally different conversation also than, you know, talking to a supplier who's doing hard goods. So being able to know what kind of questions do you ask a decorator or a contract decorator versus those hard goods suppliers, and being able to keep that conversation going. It's totally different.
Yes. Speaking of their presentations, I'm curious to get your input on what has made a really great supplier presentation for you versus ones that are just kind of like run of the mill. Like, what have been some standout presentations for you?
So last year in October, we had a couple really standout suppliers. One supplier actually had everything that they were highlighting branded with our promo live stuff. That to me, awesome. I thought was so clever. It also kept me engaged because I was scanning their showroom of what all their products were. Having the products, having something to look at, and obviously we can't touch it, but you know, you're able to see what it actually is, makes it so much more engaging versus having just a PowerPoint presentation or just talking. If you're just talking, in my opinion, I think you're gonna lose a lot of that engagement. So being able to have somebody who is, you know, keeping the energy, showing products and different things like that is definitely going to set them apart. And, you know, again, not everybody likes to speak. So having somebody who is comfortable with that also is going to make a bigger impact on those presentations, because when you aren't comfortable, I get it. Not everybody likes to speak. You can be nervous in all those different pieces, but that's when you get into the pieces where it rushes through. And then you're like, well, what do we do? So I think having those people who are excited about their products, love their company, you can definitely tell that shines through as well, and being able to highlight those different things. So I think people that have done the showroom option have really been standout, engaging presentations, in my opinion, where you have lots of questions coming in. I can barely keep up writing down questions, so I don't even have to use my own research, because they've kept everybody so engaged with what they're showing on the screen. So I think that's a big thing that I would recommend to every supplier. Don't use a PowerPoint presentation, have those live products, and being able to highlight all of those different things, because you're going to keep that engagement throughout the presentation for sure.
And to your point, it's kind of similar to an in-person show. Like, you also want to, you know, do something that's engaging. Like, the same amount of effort that a supplier would put into their booth at an in-person trade show and trying to get people in, it's the same thing.
100%.
And if anything, maybe even more important because it's online and you got to really keep the energy up.
Yeah, because you think about, I mean, you hear noises, you have other things going on in the background. What's going to keep those people engaged? I mean, I think about that too when I'm doing all of my presentations. If I'm just going through the mill of what the steps are, I'm going to lose people in the first 5 minutes.
Right.
So being able to have it be applicable, real life situations, and that's what people want to know. Like, give us events that you're going to. What are those top products that you're selling right now? Distributors want to leave inspired, and suppliers want that too, because then after that, who are they going to go to for all their orders?
Right.
They're fresh in their brain. That's what they want. That's the benefit of having those presentations at Promo Live for sure.
Yeah. And you've kind of touched on some, but are there any other missed opportunities that you feel like you've seen from people? Or is there any advice for people who are newer to coming to Promo Live that you would tell them, like, hey, make sure that you do this if they're going to be a presenter at this event?
Yeah, I would say make sure you run your technical issues, double check that. We do a lot of prep, and I think that's great of us being able to help. We're also here to help, so don't worry about asking questions. If you want to do an extra run through or things like that, I think we're always going to be more than willing to help people with that, because we want it to be a good event for us and also beneficial for them, because they're then going to want to come back the following year saying, hey, that was, really an awesome event. I got so much out of it. But if they're not putting in that prep before, they might not get, the same pieces. So I would just say, put in the same prep. If you are going to present to, a large customer, have that same kind of idea going into this, because it really shows of people who have kind of walked through it, prepped it, versus, just kind of, hey, we're just going to kind of wing it. And winging it sometimes, if you know your stuff backwards and forwards, totally fine. I totally get that. There are some things I can present on backwards and forwards, and I don't practice. But, with some of these things, it is also such a benefit to run through just some of those different pieces and get on the platform. Because not everybody is familiar with the platform. So being able to know, okay, how do I share my screen here? How do I change this? I'm not tech savvy by any means. And yes, I work at a tech company. But, there are those pieces where I think that is something where we're here to help, and putting in, even if it's just an hour, putting in that extra time really will, I think, put them a leg up when they're seeing those presentations. Because you can see the excitement in the chat of people.
It's true.
Those sessions go to the very last minute because people are engaged, they have questions, they're excited. So at the end of the day, we want it beneficial for distributors and suppliers. So distributors are coming excited, and so hopefully suppliers are coming prepared. That way everybody gets something out of it. And I love Promo Live. I think it's fun. Because it is, you get to engage with people. And so I think that's the most fun of it, because again, to your point, when you're doing, a trade show, you might not get to talk to everybody. So being able to have that kind of live, you can see the chat, which sometimes can be distracting. I can get that. It does get distracting, but that's what we're here for too, with the hosting piece of coming in there and saying, don't worry about it. We'll compile everything and we'll ask you all the questions at the end.
Yeah. Well, to kind of what you were just saying, we've talked obviously a lot about the supplier side, but I want you to give a last word for any distributors who might be listening. Maybe they haven't heard of Promo Live, or they haven't attended yet, haven't really seen the value. What would you say to encourage them to join us this year?
I feel like we're always getting the question of what's new, what's popular. Come attend Promo Live. This is the best way to see new products, popular products from awesome suppliers. And so if you don't have the time to go in and research or get on, different platforms to get in different communities and ask that, this is the time and the place to be. It's one day, it's fun, it's exciting. Again, think about when you're at Expo, that excitement. I think that translates into Promo Live too, because everybody is talking to each other in the chat. So it's a lot of fun. So they can get a lot out of it, and having those ideas, you can create, awesome presentations, and now you're inspired with what's new. I mean, who doesn't like seeing different things of like what's new? I want to try something new. I mean, I remember that from last year too, of the world's best pizza cutter. I didn't even know we had that. So there's just different things that you leave where you're like, and the opportunities for like free samples and different things like that. Like when you're attending these, you do get some of those special opportunities that if you don't, you're missing out. So I think it's well worth it. And again, such fun information. And for the most part, all the supplier presentations are so engaging. And so you're never going to be like, oh, I don't want to sit around and do that. Like you want to stick around and be like, hey, that was really good. What's the next one with all of that? And I joked last year of, with the shoes. And I was like, maybe we can get some, new kicks for trade shows because we had the AB who was on there and doing those different things. And so being able to have those different ideas of taking to a customer or for your own business. So inspiration is the reason to come to Promo Live for sure.
Awesome. But I agree with you. It's such a great event and I really enjoy it. I have not even been with Sage for as long as you, so I have not been around for as many Promo Lives, but I've been around for, I think this will be my third. And they're great. It really is so exciting. Reading the chat is a blast the whole time. So it's great. And of course, it flows so well because we have such seasoned hosts that take us through each time. So
we try, man. We try. Being here, and when you say haven't been here as long, I can't believe it'll be 12 years. April 1st.
Wow.
12 years.
Wow. You were so like next week.
So time does, like I said, time flies. So when you're asking how long have you been doing Promo Live, I have no idea. But that's the fun piece, right? When you work at a company and it's fun and you love it. Does time really matter? Not really. I stick around.
I agree. Well, thank you so much, Amanda, for joining us today. And thank you to everybody who is listening. If you have finally been encouraged and inspired to join Promo Live, you can check out more at www.sageworld.com/events/Promo Live. We will see you next time on the next installment of Promo Perspectives.